The race to dominate the AI market has just hit a critical juncture as U.S. regulators prepare to investigate industry giants Microsoft, OpenAI, and Nvidia over potential antitrust violations. In a move that could reshape the future of the AI industry, the U.S. Department of Justice and the Federal Trade Commission are joining forces to scrutinize three of the biggest names in generative AI: Microsoft, OpenAI, and Nvidia. As these companies lead the charge in AI innovation, their practices are now under the microscope, with regulators questioning whether their dominance stifles fair competition. This investigation marks a significant escalation in the government's efforts to keep the rapidly AI-evolving sector in check, potentially setting the stage for a showdown between Silicon Valley's powerhouse and federal authorities. Reportedly, the U.S. Department of Justice and the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, will coordinate their pursuit of an antitrust probe targeting tech behemoths Openai, Nvidia, and Microsoft. These businesses are enormous in generative AI. ChatGPT, the popular AI-powered chatbot, was created by the nonprofit company OpenAI. Microsoft owns 49% of OpenAI and has spent over $13 billion on the for-profit subsidiary. Microsoft is the most prominent firm in the world in terms of market capitalization. Nvidia is the undisputed market leader in graphics processing units, or GPUs, an essential component of artificial intelligence (AI) systems. The corporation just surpassed Apple to become the second largest in the world, with a value of $3 trillion. The U.S. government is probably interested in whether tech companies abuse their market dominance in artificial intelligence. Several U.S. media reports stated that the contract called for separate investigations by the FTC and the DOJ against Microsoft, OpenAI, and Nvidia. The U.S. hasn't been very aggressive on the regulation front, but we're already seeing some actions in terms of M&A, making it harder for tech companies to merge, said Olivier Tubia of Columbia Business School, speaking to CBS Money Watch. It's not easy to regulate an industry that moves so quickly. It's more efficient to pursue the litigation if we see a threat, said Tubia. He said firms are increasingly seeking stock shares in other businesses rather than outright buying them to avoid an FTC prohibition on mergers and acquisitions. What concerns me the most is the idea that we're letting for-profit firms shape our values as a society, said Tubia. We're talking about knowledge creation and dissemination, he said, adding that it's troubling regardless of aim since firms create instruments to control people's thoughts and actions. Keeping an eye on AI and how it affects the markets. As artificial intelligence products create text, graphics, and voices that resemble human beings, federal authorities have signaled for over a year that they are on the lookout for monopolistic conduct. February saw the hiring of the first artificial intelligence officer at the Justice Department, and May saw the department's announcements that it was actively examining the AI ecosystem. In January, the FTC's head, Lina Khan, warned that the agency will scrutinize any mergers that enable dominant firms to exert undue influence or gain privileged access in ways that could undermine fair competition. Back then, the FTC said it was investigating relationships between OpenAI and other AI startups and the cloud computing companies that had invested in them, including Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. OpenAI relies on Microsoft's massive computer resources to train generative AI systems like ChatGPT. Additionally, Nvidia's chips are crucial to the operation of AI applications, which impacts the whole AI sector. Star Scarlett Johansson voiced her disapproval of OpenAI's ChatGPT voice mode option, Sky, last month, saying it sounded eerily similar to mine. As a result, the company temporarily turned off the feature. The firm disputed that Sky's voice belonged to the actor. The IT sector is showing no signs of slowing its embrace of machine intelligence. On Monday, Apple said that several of its products, including phones, would include AI. Coming soon to iOS 18, iPad OS 18, and Mac OS Sequoia, Apple will collaborate with OpenAI to include their ChatGPT tool. What is the U.S. government going to be investigating? U.S. policymakers and non-governmental observers are worried that a few corporations would use unfair commercial methods to crush out new entrants and smaller rivals. Since Meta owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, in addition to Google, the U.S. government has examined Google's search engine monopoly and social media dominance. In light of these lawsuits, Dirk Auer, director of the Competition Policy and the International Center for Law and Economics in Portland, Oregon, has said that the United States has shifted its policies in the last 5 years to favor greater regulation after a period of pro-market views. US and EU law enforcement agencies are eager to pursue cases against generative AI. In an interview with Al Jazeera, Auer even said that the current administration views this as a potential game changer and believes, correctly or incorrectly, that their failure to file competition lawsuits during the early years of Web 2.0 caused a consolidation of power in less competitive marketplaces. Why are the investigations being split between two government agencies? Both the FTC and DOJ are responsible for enforcing federal antitrust laws. While the FTC is responsible for civil enforcement and the DOJ for criminal enforcement, there is some overlap between the two. Because of their shared duties, the two agencies must inform one another before beginning an antitrust inquiry. In 2019, the two organizations collaborated on a landmark case that led to the lawsuits of Facebook, Amazon, Apple, and Alphabet, Google's parent company, for suspected violations of anti-monopoly rules. A similar strategy may be used on an inquiry into OpenAI, Microsoft, and Nvidia. Why are they taking action now? American antitrust attorney Barry Barnett of the law firm Sussman Godfrey said that the two enforcement bodies would rush to either close the case before the deadline or get a head start on their investigations in the months before the November U.S. presidential election. According to Barnett, there could be a dawning sense that Congress lacks the cohesion and will work to enact legislation that provides a regulatory alternative to litigation against firms that dominate the AI ecosystem. Al Jazeera reported this due to the current atmosphere. This year has been busy for the FTC and the DOJ. Separately, the FTC is investigating a $650 million agreement that Microsoft struck with another AI firm, Inflection, and the DOJ launched an antitrust case against Apple in March for monopolizing the U.S. smartphone industry. Have these companies been expecting an investigation? Federal investigators should not be surprised if they knock on the doors of Microsoft, OpenAI, or Nvidia. The Federal Trade Commission, FTC, began investigating generative AI firms OpenAI and Anthropic in January after receiving funding from Microsoft, Amazon, and Alphabet. Should investments and partnerships pursued by dominant companies risk distorting innovation and undermining fair competition? Chair Lena M. Khan of the FTC said at the time. To what end may a lawsuit be filed? Bennett stated that the probe's objective would be to increase competition in the technology sector, a feat that regulators have previously been acknowledging for accomplishing. It is well known in the U.S. that the government spectacularly dismantled telecom behemoth AT&T in 1984, and in 2001 triumphed in a historic lawsuit against Microsoft about its dominance in Windows web browsers. Both instances unleashed enormous creative potential and substantially enhanced innovation in the tech sector, Barnett said. Nevertheless, Auer expressed uncertainty over the viability of a potential lawsuit against Nvidia, Microsoft, and OpenAI. In these AI applications, there are two main issues. One is that, according to Auer, the generative AI area is now very competitive, which means it isn't a good candidate for antitrust action. According to Auer, the second big one is that deals with big tech firms appear extremely valuable for generative AI startups. He continued by saying that further regulation could cause transaction approvals for funding and investment to take longer, impeding innovation and research. And that's all for today. If you like this video, smash that like button and subscribe for more awesome content. Catch you in the next video.